It's March 2017, and while for many people this month signifies the launch of the Nintendo Switch, it also happens to be the month that the new Power Rangers movie comes out, and I am too excited for this movie. I hope it's not that bad. So in honor of the new Power Rangers movie, I thought I would bring together a little retrospective of Power Rangers video games. I've already talked about Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for the Super Nintendo on this channel, which I liked. So let's see if any of the other games are good, starting with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for the Sega Genesis. Released around the same time as the Super Nintendo game, which was a side-scrolling beat-em-up, the Genesis version took a different approach. Instead, being more similar to the VR Troopers game, which I have also talked about on this channel, taking the form of a fighting game. As you can hear, this game's version of the theme song is not quite as pleasant. Gotta love that Genesis sound chip. It's definitely way better than VR Troopers as far as the feel and presentation of the game and its story mode. It's challenging and gets bonus points in my book for having the Green Ranger. And the sprites for the Megazord and Dragonzord are actually really cool in my opinion. It also kinda cracks me up how they stand when they're firing their blasters. They're just like zap. Hey look, the Gundam dude from the last game is the final boss in this one too. Just like in the Super Nintendo version, this guy has 2 forms and then the game is done. The fact that they brought in the Ultrazord for the ending is a really nice addition to the... Oh my gosh! I'm pretty sure that never happened in the show. Continuing on with another fighting game, this time we have Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Fighting Edition for the Super Nintendo. This one came out a bit later and is all about the Zords. You got the Thunder Zords, the Tiger Zord, the Ninja Zords, and heck, even the Shogun Megazord. In fact, the only Megazord missing is the original. At the beginning of the story mode, you get to choose between the Thunder Megazord or the Tiger Megazord, leaving one Ranger in the dust. Sorry, Jason. Or Rocky, whichever one you are at this point. Oh, now I gotta fight the one I didn't pick? Geez, it's not enough to just leave the poor guy alone, you gotta do him in too. Also, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense considering we're basically using 4 of the same Zords. The music and sprites in this game are my favorite. Very well detailed, even Lord Zedd's animation in the continue screen looks really well made. I noticed because I was on the continue screen many times. The game isn't actually all that hard at first. In fact, it didn't really start to feel challenging until toward the end of the story mode. You finally beat your way to Lord Zedd, and this fight is actually really awesome. I love the way Zedd teleports around the level and pulls out all sorts of crazy moves compared to the other enemies you faced up to this point. After defeating Lord Zedd, you're met by a surprise final boss, Ivan Ooze. Okay, that's not canon. Ivan Ooze was actually very hard for me. I must have lost to him at least 8 times before I finally beat him for 1 round, only to lose the match anyway. This fight isn't even cool, it's actually really cheap compared to Lord Zedd. His moves are all very powerful and will kill you quickly if you don't block or avoid them. He also has several moments of invulnerability, and when you can hit him, he takes way less damage than anyone else. I finally figured out the way to beat him is to hit him a couple times and then quickly crouch block his attacks. Repeat for 2 rounds until he's done. And what do you get for finally defeating him? A group selfie with all the Megazords and the Rangers. Billy, are you texting? You can at least pay attention to my hard-earned victory. Speaking of Ivan Ooze, he's also in the next game. How do I know that? Because the next game is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. It's that one right there. It's that one. It also says it right there in the title screen. It's right there. This game is more of a direct counterpart to the Super Nintendo beat-em-up from before. The sprites are mostly very similar, it uses some of the same music. Oh, and it's not as good. It's just, in my opinion, it's not as good. I don't know what it is. I got a bad vibe about this one right from the character select screen. It's probably just me, but I feel like having super low-res versions of actual pictures of the Rangers gives sort of a Street Fighter the movie, the game kind of feel. Not to mention, not one of them looks very thrilled to be there for picture day. Except for Billy. Can't bring down good old pilot episode Billy. Okay, so why don't I like this game compared to the original on the Super Nintendo? I don't really know. Okay, maybe it isn't worse, it just doesn't quite have what I liked about the last game. It's way less forgiving for sure. Definitely harder than I'm willing to put time into beating. This isn't helped by the fact that levels are kind of long, with health pickups being far apart, and they only add 1 more hit back into your life bar. By the time I got to the first boss, I was down to my last hit on my last life and had to start the entire level over. Just no thanks. Also, instead of morphing at a set point in the level, you morph by filling a power bar with lightning bolt pickups. If you're not careful, like me, you could end up wasting this power on special moves, taking even longer to finally morph. I wanted to play Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, not Mighty Morphin muscly teenagers. And they made Kimberly's boobs big again. The next game is the last of the older games that I'm going to be showing you. It's the only one I never played as a kid, and it's different. This is Power Rangers Zeo Battle Racers. Remember Power Rangers Zeo? The first season of Power Rangers not to have the classic Mighty Morphin Ranger costumes we were all used to. I personally liked the show, but forgot all about this game because I think it may have come out when I didn't have my Super Nintendo anymore. I'm picking the Gold Ranger because, well, I've always thought his design was just awesome. Plus, he's on the box, so they must want me to pick him, right? Yeah, so this game, I'm not into it. I don't know if it's bad, I'm just not super into racing games to begin with, and I never liked the Mode 7 racers like F-Zero and Super Mario Kart. I played 2 races. I lost the first one, but won the second one, and was greeted by a message that says, "Congratulati!" Cool, thanks guys. The next game I want to show you is actually my favorite game on this list, and it isn't even a Power Rangers game at all. Chroma Squad, a wonderful little indie game that came to PC a couple years ago, which is inspired by Power Rangers and the Japanese Sentai shows that Power Rangers originates from. It's a tactical RPG where you play as 5 stunt actors who are fed up with being mistreated at their current job on a hit Sentai show. One day, they quit their jobs and decide to take off and make a show of their own. This is where you take over. You get to assemble a team by choosing 5 stunt actors, assigning each one a color. The tongue-in-cheek humor that pokes fun at the cheesy nature of the shows, as well as their special effects and costumes, is one of the best things about this whole game. You can even craft new costumes and weapons using things like cardboard and duct tape. It even has some elements of a management sim, as you decide how to spend the studio's money on special effects, marketing, and so on, trying to build up your fanbase. It's a really great game, and it's actually getting a console release later this year. Except for the Vita version, which was just announced to be cancelled. Why? Why would you do that? The touchscreen, it'd be perfect for... Why would you do this? Why? 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 Finally, this last game was released earlier this year. It's called Power Rangers Mega Battle, and I don't know how I feel about it. Mega Battle is an arcade-style beat-em-up for up to 4 players, and it's just... okay. I'll start off with what I like about it. It's super fan-servicey. It makes all kinds of nods to the show that the hardcore and nostalgic fans will love. Plus, again, bonus points for being able to play as the Green Ranger. Really guys, I can't stress that enough. If you make a Power Rangers game, put the Green Ranger in it. Also, Megazord battles are awesome. To look at least. They even did some pretty creative reimaginings of some of the old monsters, which I think is pretty neat for the most part. There's also the ability to level up and unlock buffs and new skills, which is cool, except for the fact that I made it about halfway through the game and only hit level 3. So for all the options on just one character's skill tree, it would probably take a long time to get anywhere with this. Oh, and did I mention, you can also play with up to 3 friends. But unfortunately you need friends for that. So, I think that's where the game loses it for me. It feels like it's meant to be played with other players. I played it solo and had a very hard time. The battles feel slow because enemies have way too much health, whereas I often felt like I didn't have enough. The game gets frustratingly hard as new enemies are introduced that are harder to kill. Eventually, you'll find yourself fighting waves of mini-boss-like enemies, and it becomes more of a test of endurance than a game. And, just like in the game based on the old movie, if you die, you start the whole level over again. And there's no way to lower the difficulty. I checked. A few times. One thing I hate about this game is how easy it is to miss your attacks. If you're not quite on the exact same plane as an enemy, your attacks will miss. And I don't know if it's just me, but I always felt like it took a while to stop attacking to reposition myself. One last gripe I have is, while I don't hate the art style in the game, it really does look and feel like I paid $15 for a Flash game. While I appreciate the fan service and what they were trying to do with this game, it just doesn't quite hit the mark for me. And apparently it totally missed the mark for some other people. And they made Kimberly's boobs big again. I really wanted to love this game, but it just didn't love me back. I just hope it's not the last game we see based on early Power Rangers. I mean, maybe they can make something kind of like Dynasty Warriors, or maybe a company like Platinum Games could come along and make something really cool. The Transformers Devastation team, not the Legend of Korra Ninja Turtles team. The good team. Man, I really gotta wrap up this video. What time is it anyway? Oh, I see. It's Morphin time! Alright, let's do this! Oh, jeez. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to see more, feel free to check out one of these other videos you see here on the screen, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You can also follow me by looking up The Portly Gamer on the social networks below.